Acércate más, un poco más. Tu forma de actuar me hace vibrar. Yo ya no tengo escapatoria. Tú me borraste la memoria.
Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I am making these crispy chimichangas. If you don't know what chimichangas are, they're just deep fried burritos. That's really all that they are. So I'm getting all of the stuff that's gonna go into the burritos before I fry them. I'm starting off with some beans, and these are just some pinto beans that I got from a can, and it was like a 15.5 ounce can. So what I do with canned beans is I dump the water out. So I did, just dump the water out that was in the can because there's a lot of salt in there, and sometimes it's just funky looking, and I don't know, I just don't like the water it comes in. So I dump it, and then I put the beans into this pot. I put about a half a cup of purified water, and I just got that up to a boiling, up to like where it was boiling. And then I'm just gonna turn the heat off, and I'm gonna add my spices. So I added 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of cumin. And with cumin, I always add small amounts like that because cumin is very strong spice. A little bit really does go a long way. So you can not put it in there if you don't want it, if you don't want that cumin taste, but I like it, so I put just a very small amount of a quarter of a teaspoon. I'll show you right here. It's a very small amount. So I just stir all the spices in there, and then my camera is gonna act a little funny here. I don't know why I started recording like this, but I set this aside because I added cheese. Just ignore it, it's just for a few seconds. See, it's weird. So yeah, so I have my pot here. I'm adding a 1/4 cup of cheese to that, and just giving it a quick stir, and then I'm going to blend it with my immersion blender. If you don't have an immersion blender, I recommend you get one. It is so incredibly useful. It's great for so many things. You can get a cheap one for like $10. They're very inexpensive. Mine is a little nicer, so it cost me like $25, but that's just because I had a cheap one and it broke. So if you don't have an immersion blender, don't want to buy one, you can just put this into your blender, and like a normal blender, and just blend it. You can add the cheese in there, and it still comes out fine. So now our beans are done, and we're going to cut up our meat. So this is sirloin, which is funny, I didn't know that it was sirloin. I always go to the Hispanic markets to get meat when I'm making carne asada, and I go up to the butcher, and like the carnicerio is how you say it in Spanish, and I just ask for, I want 4 or 5 pounds of diez mio. I didn't know that diez mio is just sirloin. I could have just gone to a normal supermarket and gotten a packet of sirloin. I didn't know that. I feel so dumb, but I'm just cutting it into cubes. So I cut it into strips, turn them to the side, and then cut it into cubes. And now it's all cut up. I'm putting it on this plate, and then I'm just taking this stuff out of the way. I just rinsed that off really quick, and yeah, so this is how it looked like, and we're gonna cook that on a frying pan. So I cooked everything on high. It's not that difficult to cook this on high, so you can cook it all on high. I added about a teaspoon of oil to that frying pan, and I just spread out with my spatula, and then I did get all my spices together. So if you have taco seasoning, I recommend you use taco seasoning, or if you have a favorite meat seasoning that you already use, that's fine too. But I didn't have meat seasoning or taco seasoning, so this is what the spice mixture I use when I don't have that. So I'm adding 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1 teaspoon of lemon pepper, and that's what I like to use. And I just kind of like spread the meat out onto the pan, add the spices, and then I start stirring it together to get the spices combined and to get it to like a light brown color. Once all the meat is like at a light brown color, and some of the like juices from the meat start coming out, you kind of just want to leave it alone and like not touch it for a while. So you're gonna see me do that in a bit. I'm just mixing it all up, waiting for it to get light brown. And then as you can see, some of the juices are already starting to come out. You can see the frying pan starting to fill up with those meat juices. So once a lot of that has come out, I just left it alone for a little bit. And what we want is we want a lot of that juice to evaporate so that it can kind of stick to the bottom of the pan, and then you unstick it and it leaves like this nice dark brown color on your meat, and it just tastes really good. That's just how we always make carne asada. So stirring it up, and I'm just gonna give it a quick taste to check the spices. Always start with a little bit of spices, and if you need more, add more, because you can always add more but you can't take it away. So I did end up needing about another teaspoon of salt and another teaspoon of black pepper. But like I said, start with a little bit, taste it. If you for any reason can't taste your spices, then add more, or if you think it's okay, then just leave it how it is. I like my food sometimes a little heavily spiced. So as you can see, a lot of that liquid has evaporated. A lot of that like meat juice is kind of gone, and it's starting to get that like dark brown color in some of the pieces. So right here, it's almost done. And what I like to do at this part is I like to add the juice of half of a lime. It just gives it a really great flavor. So I'm adding that juice in there. And now we're just gonna stir the juice in to all the meat and let that evaporate a little bit too, and get it to stick a little bit more, and just get a nice good brown color, and just turn that off. So it's basically all done now. As you can see, there's some pieces that are nice and dark brown, and that's exactly how we want it. So you just turn it off, and then I'm gonna transfer this into a bowl. I'm gonna set up a little station where I'm gonna make my chimichangas. And yes, I did see that little piece of meat fall in between my stove and my counter, just because I know somebody is gonna comment in my comment section, you dropped the piece. I know. And now I'm just taking this rice, the Spanish rice that I had pre-cooked. I will leave the link in the, or not the link, the tag in the upper right hand corner if you want to see how I make this. I'm just putting about a cup into that bowl. Added a teaspoon of water to it, and then I heat it up for 30 seconds in the microwave. And then if you've seen my taquitos video, you know what I'm doing here. I'm making a little paste. So it's just a tablespoon of flour and a tablespoon of water. You mix it up till it's like a little like pancake consistency is what you want, and that's just gonna help everything stick together to the tortilla so it doesn't fall apart while you're frying it in your frying pan. And then I did make 2 chimichangas out of chicken. So this is the same chicken that I use for, again, my taquitos. So I'm just putting it, it's just shredded chicken that I put into that bowl. It was about a cup. I actually used a lot. You can use a little less than that. Or you could just make your chimichangas with extra chicken inside. So I just put about a cup of it in there, about a tablespoon of butter, and then about a teaspoon of garlic, a teaspoon of black pepper. Mix all that together and put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. And now I have a tortilla here. It's a flour tortilla, and we are going to start forming our burritos that we're gonna fry, our chimichangas. So I put a spoonful of beans at the bottom, a little bit of rice, and then some carne asada. I made a total of 4 as carne asada and 2 as chicken. So I don't know how to describe it. Just watch what I'm doing. I'm just folding everything into it and like tucking it in really well. And once you get to the edge, you just take a little bit of that paste that we made and just spread it there and push it down. If you, for any reason, feel like you need a little bit more of that paste, like you didn't get enough, just add a little bit more like I did right there. And then I'm just setting that onto another bowl, not a bowl, a plate. And so I'm just gonna speed up the video because they're all the same. Even the chicken ones, I just put beans at the bottom, then rice, and then chicken. So I made 3 more like that with carne asada. And I did have a little bit of carne asada left over. I used I think it was 9 ounces, like 9 almost 10 ounces of sirloin. So you can use half a pound and you should be okay, or you can use the leftover carne asada to make one just carne asada and cheese. That's another way to get, you know, everything as chimichangas. But I didn't feel like doing all that. I just saved that extra carne asada and I made a quesadilla the next morning. That's what I did. So I always like to have a little extra food. It's always better to have extra than not enough. So yeah, I speeded up the video because, like I said, they're all the same. And you see me, I'm just gonna make 2 out of chicken, and I had a little bit of chicken left over. I honestly just ate it. I love shredded chicken, so I just ate my leftovers. But yeah, if you just pack them a little chubbier, like your chimichangas, with a little more chicken, they'll be fine. So there they are, all done, a total of 6, and we are just going to fry them. And so we're starting off with a frying pan nice and hot, and we just put enough oil, about so you have about half of an inch of oil in there. And please be careful. I actually burned myself while I was making this video. And it's funny because I was taking really good care of myself to not burn my hands, and I'm using these tongs. I turned the oil to a medium there, and the first one that you make is always going to be either really dark or really light most of the time, because your oil is still getting to the temperature that it has to be. So I'm doing this in real time so you can see. Just for the first one, they cook really fast because they're flour tortillas. So once you see it get golden, you just turn it over. You cook it for a few more seconds till that side gets golden, and then you pick it up, you shake the oil off, and you put it onto a plate lined with a paper towel. And these are, they're heavier than like taquitos, so make sure you have a good pair of tongs, and make sure that you're holding onto them well, because if you accidentally, let's say you start shaking the chimichanga, that you start shaking the oil off and you drop it into the oil, it's gonna splash and you are going to burn yourself. I was being really careful to not do that, but I wasn't wearing shoes when I was recording this. I was in my socks in the kitchen, and as you can see, my tongs, right, they have oil, so you see me like shake some of the oil off my tongs, like right here, and then I like put it off to the side. So at one point I didn't shake the oil off the tongs, and a drop of it fell onto my foot, and it hurt so bad because I was wearing socks and I wasn't wearing shoes. So wear shoes. Or if you're not wearing shoes, just be careful. So I'm just frying up all of these chimichangas, and they cooked really fast. You can see that second one cooked like instantly. I did speed up the video, but it's just a little bit. They don't take long to fry. They kind of just take longer to like make all the fillings and stuff. And when you put them into the oil, as you can see, I use my hand to put it onto the tongs, and then with my tongs I put it into the oil. Try to get at the very edge of your tongs, but still get a good grip on it, because the same thing will happen if like you have it not at the edge of the tongs and you let go of the tongs, they fall in and they splash. Again, you'll burn yourself. So be very, very, very careful. This is hot oil. Always be careful when you're deep frying stuff or pan frying stuff, or you just have a lot of oil like this. Be careful. Please don't burn yourself. I did, when I was done, all I ate these with is just some salsa and some Mexican crema. And I didn't mention this in my video where I made the salsa, but that salsa, it is a mild salsa, but after you leave it in the fridge for a full day, it gets spicier and actually tastes better. I think it's because like it sits in your fridge and all of it kind of settles and the salsa tastes better. So if you try it out my salsa, leave it in the fridge for a day and then taste it again. I promise you it'll be spicy and delicious. So if for any reason you didn't think it was spicy. So this is how they came out. They were so good. They were like not crunchy but crispy. Kind of like almost flaky because it's a flour tortilla. So good. I love this. I make this all the time too. This was actually requested by my friend Sonia and I made her some. I think that's why she wanted me to make this video. I love these. Make these all the time. So I hope you guys try this recipe. One of my favorites. Please like, comment, subscribe, and turn your notifications on so you can see when I post new videos. And if you want to see my taquitos recipe, it'll pop up on the screen.